Guys, how's it going? So there is this big CPP controversy right now of CPP investments earning 7.8 for fiscal year of 2026. And I'm not gonna lie, I want to understand what's going on. Without all the jargon, can we actually get to the bottom of this? Is this actually something worth of a controversy? Let's take a look. So I've seen the thread here a few days ago. So CPP investment earned 7.8 for fiscal 2026. The results of this year's CPP investment fell short of its benchmark portfolio, which returned 13.2% for the same period, as it was boosted by relatively heavier exposure to the large technology companies that have outpaced the broader market for the year. And I think before going through this, I actually want to read the article just to see what's going on. So CPP investment chief says Canada attracting attention from foreign investors. So Canada has flown under the radar for large international investors in recent years, but that's changing as Ottawa and the provinces talk of plans for new investments. I have gotten more calls from these people expressing a curiosity about Canada that I haven't heard in my time here as at CPP Investments. And so Canada is coming back on the investing community radar, and they're curious. And of course, Prime Minister Mark Carney has crisscrossed the globe working to highlight Canada as a destination for foreign investment as the government looks to strengthen the economy in the face of US tariffs that have upended the relationship with country's largest trading partner. Okay, and they're talking about a lot of CPP investment returns, showing how the asset climbed to almost 800 billion from 715 billion at the end of 2025. So the result for the year fell short of the fund's benchmark portfolio, which returned 13.2% for the same period, as was boosted by relatively heavier exposure to technology companies and outpaced the broader market for the year. Okay, so this is exactly what we read on Reddit. Okay, there's nothing necessarily here to stir up a controversy. So let's keep going. So I'm not even comparing to XEQT, SPY, and other index funds. What I'm mad about is how they rewrote their own performance metrics, retroactively applied them 5 years back, and to give themselves all bonuses in what I would describe as impossible to lose in market over the last 5 years, which is very true. I mean, there were moments, perhaps in 2022, where you could lose some money, but overall, that everything bounced back within a few months. But they still had to do the magic math. Just really amazing incompetence. So they created a new performance benchmark, which they have only outperformed in the past before they implemented it, then applied it retroactively and are now claiming their relative performance is positive. It's so egregious. In the year 2000, they had 4 million in annual costs, and today they have 4 billion. Yet the returns today are no better than the returns in the year 2000. Okay, and this is the cost of how many millions they spent. Let's see. Combining operations, transaction costs, and external management fees. Since the year 2000, they're up 1,000-fold, from 4 million to 4.4 billion. That doesn't even seem real. I don't know. It seems a little bit ridiculous, but okay. And then from 5 to CPPIB payroll has increased from 5 to 1936 last year. Interesting. So in 2006, just before the switch, the 5 highest paid executives at the CPPIB made about $800,000 a piece on average. By 2019, it was worth north of 5 million. Yeah, I mean, no comments. That's okay. And it seems like it's taming down to only under 4 million, 3.8 million here. That's insane. So when I see stuff like this, I say, Andre, have you bitten more than you can chew by discussing the CPP stuff? Because there are a lot of really smart people dealing with this. And you're just a finance YouTuber. And the answer is you don't need to be qualified to complain. You need to be qualified to say, no, this claim is actually wrong. But to complain, it's absolutely fine. So let's take a look. I mean, look at all these people on Reddit. Besides a few of them, I'm sure most of them are just like you and I. So we don't have to compare the S&P 500 or an asset allocation ETF, which, okay, CPP underperforms their own benchmarks, which they chose, all while running up operating costs and paying themselves increased salaries and bonuses. First of all, I wish I was working at the CPP organization. It sounds like they're making good money. It sounds like a decent job, but yeah. Missing their own benchmark by 5.4 is huge. And of course, the CEO had a base salary of 700K in 2026, which is okay, good, but total compensation of 6.9 million, including an in-year award, deferred award, and other deferred award, pension value, and all other compensation. Okay, and let's take a look here. Okay, and that's going to be on page 83. First of all, insane. I mean, okay, I shouldn't say at least, but everything is very transparent here in terms of how much money is paid out. So kudos for that, I guess. And, if you make 100K a year, it'll make you, 70 years to make this much? And 100K a year, people think is an absolutely amazing salary. So you'll only need 70 years to make what Mr. John gram made here in 1 year. Yeah, I don't know. That does not seem very great. Yeah, that seems a little bit ridiculous. I mean, 700K is okay. He's a big executive at a firm. Absolutely, whatever. But when we're looking at all these other awards and performance awards and pension and other compensation, this is absolutely ridiculous. Wow. And again, this guy's smart, just like me. He said working for CPPIB is the only solution. I totally agree. I suspect we're just not ready for salaries like that. Another person says, the thing that bugs me about the CPP is the massive increase in their employees and office spaces, the underperformance of their own benchmarks, the massive pay package for the CEO. I understand that they have more conservative portfolio, which is reasonable, right? Doesn't have to be 100% stocks. It's not XEQT or VFE. But it seems like they're being mismanaged. Where are the checks and balances to ensure Canadians are getting the returns they deserve? And this is a more grounded take here from this user. Betting on the S&P 500 in the past year would have had you on a roller coaster, 100% true, and eventually at the specific moment, up. But giant funds that exist to protect Canadian workers in retirement shouldn't be putting all their money on or overinflated chip stocks at the top of their historical price. That's also a good point. I mean, everything is super hot right now, but the assets CPP own have had a mild year. That doesn't mean they should have went all in on SPY. And this is a good point. Unfortunately, right, especially when all I talk about is this global ETFs, US ETFs, Canadian ETFs, especially 100% equity ones a lot of the time. I don't think of, different asset classes, right? Some of them leave some money for gold. They don't just have stocks. They have gold, they have bonds, they have stocks as well. They probably have investment in some real estate, stuff like that. So, of course, does CPP have real estate? Let's see. Okay, yeah, so Canada Pension Plan actively invests in real estate. Massive global real estate portfolio of commercial, residential, retail, and industrial properties as part of the real asset strategy. So, okay, and retail and malls, industrial and logistics, multifamily residential. So, it makes sense, right? I don't know how it is actually I haven't really checked, but here in Alberta, the market has been actually cooling down a lot. And I think it's actually been cooling down all over Canada right now. I'm not sure necessarily if that's the case for single detached homes, but I know that this is the case for, townhomes and condos, very much so. And so, that's part of the reason it may have underperformed as well. Commercial real estate is struggling everywhere. I know everybody's going back to the office, but it has not been easy, right, to get workers into the office. And a lot of people are still hating it, which is a fair point sometimes, yeah. And yeah, that's a really good point. I'm not saying that's good, but I'm kind of glad that our national pension isn't betting it all on chatbots. I mean, you say whatever you will, but this is true. How many times this year I've thought that the market is too hot and the bubble is going to burst? I could probably count it on, I probably need more than one hand to count. Every time I buy something and I'm like, why am I buying this right now? The market is at all-time high. I check it the next week or the next month and the market is even higher. So again, I try and buy consistently, right? Something like XEQT. And so I buy it the next month and all of a sudden it's really high. And I'm like, I should probably wait. It's going to crash any day now. But of course I shouldn't. It's not worth the peace of mind. So I'm like, no, I'm going to buy it. So I buy it. I'm like, oh, I'm going to lose all this money. But no, I check the next month and it's even higher. So that's a good point. I'm glad that those guys are not YOLOing on all the AI stocks. Okay, risk adjusted, it's fine. CPP does not care about 1 year stats. They need to grow it to match retirees' pay out with lowest risk involved. Most people, especially online, myself included, have no idea how the mandate of these firms actually operate. The risky stuff is very small and they can be diversified. CPP owns airports, railways, stores, etc. That's exactly what I was saying. For example, the retailer Petco, one of the largest shareholders is CPP. They own majority of 407, which is the highway up in Ontario, if I'm not wrong. They own office towers in Toronto, London, Sydney, and New York. They own a ton of bonds, which is low risk. They own a lot of US stocks and increasing rate, especially big tech. Some will be angry at that, but the fact that they're outside the political world is good. They don't invest in Canadian. They don't invest in areas government in power likes. They don't stop investing in the USA because there's a trade issue. They have no issue owning infrastructure built by the public. Oh, I found a typo. It's their outlook. It should be THEIR. Whoa, got them. So this whole message is invalid now. Their outlook is long and there is a goal to grow. And the goal is to grow without care of what politicians are saying. And of course, more people argue and argue and argue. But I think to summarize this, and I think we can talk about this for a while, I wish we actually get to the bottom of this. Unfortunately, it's a quick video. Obviously, you need someone really smart to read this 150 pages report. Someone like Claude, preferably. To me, the biggest problem is, of course, people are talking about this guy's not even making their own benchmark by over 5%, and they get ridiculously compensated. I think that's all it is, right? When you set the rules and you fail to deliver in a market that has been pumping for the past 5 years. But in March, for example, when everything was going down, it wasn't tanking, but it was down by 5-10%. You probably wouldn't want the CPP portfolio to be down 5-10% either, right? So when it's up 20-30% on a ridiculous year like last year, for example, I guess we can expect CPP to be up this much as well. Again, people are mad because they set their own benchmark, and that's on them. Absolutely. I can see how that doesn't make any sense. But again, I feel like the biggest one is just seeing how ridiculously compensated these people are. I mean, and they're smart people, they're very educated people. But when you see someone make 7 million, when you see 7 million, 2 million, 3 million, 5 million, and 3 million GBP is probably close to 6 million Canadian. You see another 3 million. These are very high compensations in a time when there's a housing crisis, the cost crisis, the groceries crisis, public infrastructure crisis, immigration crisis. I don't even know. Oh, well, gas crisis as well. I forgot about the gas just going absolutely insane. So in days like this, you don't even, I think that when you see that, you don't really, it's more about the audacity of when you see a compensation of, again, yeah, sure, that's very high of 7 million. But even if you see a compensation of 2 million, and then you also find that they're not doing the superb job, like the best job, maybe it's the best job they can do. But when you see these numbers, it's hard to be like, oh, I'm glad you did all you could. Here's the $7 million for the year. Thank you for trying your hardest. It's a little challenging. So I totally understand why people are mad. And without knowing the complexity of CPP, obviously, there are better videos on this that don't rely on Reddit as the sole source of their information that you should probably watch. But for me, again, I think it's mainly personal. When you see someone underperforming while making so much money, more money than you'll make in 20 years, and you're already struggling to pay the bills, the rent, the gas, everything, it kind of gets you a little bitter. And I think this is at least a reason of why people are not happy with this. But anyways, what do you guys, does it seem like the fund is doing a really poor job managing your money or not? I mean, again, it's not as simple as just buy XEQT or just buy VGRO. Those guys are doing a much, if that's all they were doing and making this kind of money, I think people will be much more up in arms. But my question is, what about active? I think the big part here was that they're now doing active trading and with active trading, a lot of the costs actually pile up. And you need a lot more people to keep track. And you need a lot more money. Liquidity. You're buying stocks, you hope they go up. You have to hedge for in case they actually go down. There's a lot more complexity to it versus a passive index investing, something people say about the Norwegian sovereign wealth fund. Do you think active investing is superb? I think I'm spoiled by just buying XEQT, for example, that I just think passive investing is superior. But I also have not actually bought any single stocks like Samsung or any single chip stocks that have skyrocketed. Maybe I could have actually made a lot more money if I was a little more active. I don't know. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching and hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully it makes a little more sense. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care.